I'll just wait a few minutes to see if anyone comes. I'll just wait a few minutes to see if anyone comes. See if I can get center. You got all this dirt around me, or soil, I should say. See if I can get center. You got all this dirt around me, or soil, I should say. So what I wanted to talk to you today, my name is Jamerica, by the way. This is Jamerica 5288, and what I do here is, let me turn this thing down so I don't have the feedback, just a moment. So what I wanted to talk to you today, my name is Jamerica, by the way. This is Jamerica 5288, and what I do here is, let me turn this thing down. Okay, and now that I got that under control, there are two people in here. If you have the ability, I have my chat open so I can see you. So my name is Jamerica 5288, and I am basically a gardener and a suburban homesteader. I have chickens, and I try to grow as much as I can in on my property. I have about a half an acre, maybe a little bit less than a half an acre here. And most of the plants that I grow, I start indoors. Because it's wintertime, it's what, December 7th? Because it's wintertime, I especially grow things indoors. So these are some of the pepper plants that I started about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. Pepper plants take approximately 14 days to germinate. So if you plant them, don't just think that the seeds are no good and replant something, because the pepper plants take a long time to germinate. They take about 7 to 14 days, you'll see something coming up out of the ground. Tomatoes, eggplant, they're the same way. They're all in the brassica family. So I have these plants, but these are for next spring. What I do is I grow my pepper plants in the wintertime. I start my plants in the house and I keep them in the house. I have a greenhouse now, but I think I'm going to keep these in the house. I'll put the other plants outside in the greenhouse. I keep these plants in the house. First of all, I don't like bringing outdoor plants into the house because it brings bugs into your house. That's the main thing. And I just want to start fresh. Currently, I have about about 7 pepper plants out there from different varieties, but these are bell peppers. And this is how I organize my seeds. So when I go to the Dollar Tree, they have these boxes available, where they have all their seeds. And after they're finished with the boxes, they don't want it anymore. So you can see American Seed. American Seed Company is also sold at Walmart, but American Seed is also sold at Dollar Tree. So I take their boxes after I'm ready. And these seeds came directly from this pack of seeds. Well, not this pack of seeds, but Dollar Tree seeds for $1. So if you're on a budget and you want to buy some pepper seeds, you do not have to go to, M.I. Gardner or to Baker Creek unless you want to. Now these two, this is not a pumpkin, this is a pumpkin, not a pepper. These two cost a little bit more than this. But these two companies have rare seeds, so that's another company that I use. I do not discriminate against company. I've bought from several different places, but a lot of the seeds that are in this box are from the Dollar Tree because they're inexpensive. 25 cents for a pack of seeds, you can't beat that. And they grow. All of this is from this. All of this is from the Dollar Tree, 25 cents. So I'll put these back down here. And I'll put those back in the box after I finish. I put them in alphabetical order so I don't end up with a million seed from the, a million seed from the, hi, Edwina A., how are you doing? Thank you for being here with me. So I have a million of the same seeds in the box. So I organize them alphabetically with the exception of the flowers. I realized late in the season that I didn't have many flowers. All I had was, vegetables. So I went and got some flower seeds because who else? This is Bliss. Hello, how are you doing? Angel Anthony, hi, how are you doing? You didn't know about that? Oh yeah, that's the best kept secret, 25 cents. I don't know if it's going to be that way next year, but they usually beginning of spring or just before spring, they put out rows. I mean, they'll have a rack. They have less than they used to have every year, but they'll have a rack of seeds and pots like this. This is from Dollar Tree. Don't excuse me, it's dirty. I use it over and over again. But these are $1.25. They used to be $1, but $1.25 for pots is not bad. And the seeds are 25 cents. So you could have your whole garden for almost nothing. Hi, this is Bliss. Thank you for being here. So I planted these about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I was saying before, I mean, I started a little late. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to figure out this YouTube thing because I didn't, I don't have StreamYard or any of the other programs. But I got there. So this is about 2 months, and I started these in those little seed trays that, like the trays that you buy your seedlings in. The stores just throw them out, and instead of going to Amazon or to one of the big box stores and getting seedling trays, I just use the trays that the stores throw out, the trays that hold these things. They just throw them out, so I come up and pick them up. So today, you see I recycle everything. This is some kind of plant that I had. What is that? I don't know what it was, but I don't throw out my pots because I don't like rebuying anything. And when I need to upplant stuff like this, I have the pot. Another thing I do is when I like if a plant dies or if I put it in the ground and I have soil left over, I collect that soil and I put it out there in a old swimming pool. And I reuse my soil. The only thing you need to do with this soil most of the time, if that, is put some blood meal or some bone meal in it. So I have soil here from the tub, and then I have a little bit extra over here that I took out of a bag yesterday. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to up pot these plants. So once I get them out of the small seedling tray, and I wish I could get one for you. Once I get them out of the small seedling tray that I repurpose from the supermarket, I transplant them into a bigger one. But after a while, you're going to see roots start coming out of the bottom of these pots, and that means, let me get one out. That means that you have to upplant them. Look at that. I'm gonna get up and show you. Look at how the roots look. See that? So that is at the point where it's going to become root bound. And by root bound, I'm talking about when the roots start wrapping around on themselves. So this is starting to do that. So I'm going to loosen that up. Right? And I already have some soil in here. And I have S peppers on it, sweet peppers. And I just put it in the pot. Make a little hole. I put some dirt in some of these pots already. I'll put a little hole in here. And then I get some more soil. Try not to make a mess. It's gonna be a mess anyway, but I'm trying to lessen the mess. And I just go and I fill this thing in. I put dirt around it until it's covered. And last night I went and I wet this soil prior to starting this thing. Press it down. And I'm gonna keep on putting soil in there until I think it's enough. I do not want to fill the container up to the very top because I want there to be room for drainage. But you want to make sure that you cover the roots up. This doesn't take very long. And I'm going to sit it right over there next to the rest of the plants. This is not going outside. Well, at least three or four of them are not going outside. I planted, when I plant, let me get my words together. When I plant in those little pods, in these little seedling trays, I make sure I put at least 2 to 3 seeds per pod. So if there's seeds that are not viable, then at least one of them will pop up, if not two. And then when you're planting in this, some of them, you know, they may not make it. They may be weak. And see how these are smaller? They were all started at the same time. And look at this one versus this. They grow at different rates. Some seeds are not as strong as others, or some plants are not as strong as others. But you want to get as many opportunities as possible. Grandma grows in the garden. How are you doing? G Mama. I'm sorry. G Mama grows in the garden. How are you doing? Thank you for coming to the channel. So look at this. This plant was starting to deteriorate because it was too big for that little pot. The root, it had outgrown its enclosure. So just that fast, we have one planted. And if y'all are worried, this is a dining room table, but I never use it. This is where I plant. This is where I plant because out there, I'm in Texas. It's hot. It's either too hot or too cold. Somebody just said, G Mama grows in the garden. Oh, you're fine. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. So here's another pot right here. And I filled this one up a little bit too much. I have pots all around me. And none of them were bought for the purpose for this thing. These are all recycled. Don't throw your stuff out. Don't throw your stuff out, and don't pull your plants up, because I am still harvesting those brassicas, not pepper plants. Pepper plants, if it gets too cold, they'll die. But brassicas, they could go through a winter. They, at least out here, I mean, everybody's temperature is different, but I have I think that you should hold on to them until they die. That's my mentality. If they're in the ground and they're still green and they're still showing some sign of life, especially brassicas, because you harvest the leaves, I leave them in the ground. Tomatoes too. I'm sorry, nightshades too, because my nightshades would look terrible all summer. Fall came around when it cooled off out here in Texas, and I started seeing little buds. I was like, I'm leaving them right there, because I didn't get much from them. And I was like, you know what? If I have the opportunity to get anything from these plants, I am. And it paid off, because they started producing tomatoes. So I am pouring the dirt in here. This is recycled dirt. And I'm also making a mess. This one was not root bound. That's why I didn't pull it apart. And I just keep on. And remember, I told you this recycle, all kind of twigs in here. I'll just throw that back into the pool, because that'll break down. That will break down. Yep. In my opinion, all of this is not really a lot of work to me, especially if you go to the supermarket and you buy a bell pepper and it don't taste like a bell pepper anymore. I noticed that when I started growing stuff, what the difference in the quality was. And I'm paying 69 cents for a bell pepper at the supermarket that is almost tasteless. Almost tasteless. You grow your own stuff and you say, is that, you know, then you get those childhood memories of what the stuff was supposed to taste like. What it used to taste like. I have no idea how they're growing stuff, but the flavor is gone. Let me see who's in the chat. G Mama, what did you say? Yep, as long as it's feeding me, I can grow, G Mama. Yep. As long as they grow, I'm not, I mean, if I feel like I'm wasting my time with the plant, I don't pull it up. I just don't grow it again. You know, I try to grow it a different way. Just like those apple trees I planted out there. That's the third time I'm planting apple trees. And those bad boys have went up quite a bit. But I try because, okay, let me tell you what has happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you. When you're looking through and you're trying to select your vegetables from the supermarket, And they have those, they say organic. I don't buy organic. I don't pay attention to, because I believe that a lot of the stuff they say is organic is not. It may be semi-natural. This is why I say that. At our store, they have those little sprayers on top. You know how many times I've been sprayed by them things? And why is it that vegetables stay around that long? I'm in growing zone 8B. Toronto, Anthony, was it Angela Anthony? I'm in zone 8B. We just got our first snowfall this morning in my area. Are you able to grow throughout the year? I'm in Texas. I'm in zone 9A now. And I don't go by that because it still freezes out here 2 or 3 times a year. We had a bad one last year. It has snowed maybe 3 times in 15 years. I'm originally from New York, and I decided that I didn't like the cold. However, it still gets cold down here in Texas. And when it gets cold, we're not on the same grid as the rest of the United States, so we have our own electrical system. And if it freezes, we just don't have anybody to back us up. So it's warm down here. Today is about, let's say, 60, 65. Last night it got down to about 42. We have not hit freezing temperatures yet. But we do get freezing temperatures, which is why some of my citrus trees, I planted them, and oh God, it was bad. We had an ice storm. It was bad. A lot of people lost electricity for at least a month and a half. It was bad. I'm in the Austin area. So the difference I see in growing where in New York versus here is that the growing period is a lot shorter. New York, June, July, August, and June it starts getting warm. July and August it's warm or hot. By September, Labor Day, I remember going to school with a jacket on. So here it's not that way. It'll be 65, 70 degrees out here in December. But February, March, it starts getting cold. Freezing cold. Not for a long extended period. To me, a long extended period of time is a month or 2. Out here, it'll be cold for a freezing cold, below freezing for at least 2-3 days or maybe a week, and then it'll get warm again. So it's not the same type of cold as New York, where it's consistently cold. It's consistently for a long time. We don't really have. We have 4 seasons, but our 4 seasons are different than the northern 4 seasons. New York is like winter, right? Then we have spring, and then we have summer, and then fall, and then winter. Here, it's summer, and summer lasts for a long time. And then we have fall for almost as long. Then we have winter, which is just a short period of time. And then we have spring, which lasts a reasonable amount of time. Summer is the song of summer down in Texas is the longest season. In New York, it's winter. So you have to be careful. If you have, my mom, because my family is still in New York, my mom has a big picture window in the front of her house where plants like these, you can grow these, not in this type of pot, but maybe in something like this until the summer comes, and then you'll have a mature plant and you'll get your bell peppers before it gets really cold. Because bell peppers can stay around until it freezes, and then they're gone. Or these plants, bell peppers, tomatoes, brassicas are perennials. The only reason why they call them annuals is because it gets cold and it kills them. I have plants out there that are 2 years old, bell pepper plants. Tomato plants are the same way, although tomatoes are ugly, so I don't really like, keeping them around for a long time. But these, I don't mind looking at that. So they're perennials, but they label them. Let me see if they label them as annuals. No, it doesn't say anything on here. But they label them, some places label them as annuals, and that's not necessarily true. these are perennials, right? Brassicas are perennials, most of them. Your collards, your turnips, not your eggplant, your turnips, your eggplant, your Swiss chard, your broccoli. I don't recommend you keep the broccoli alive, but the collards, the turnips, and the Swiss chard, those are biennials. They can live 2 years if they don't get frozen. And even if they do, that Swiss chard that is out there right now, it went through a freeze. It went through 2 freezes, and it died all the way back down to the ground. And I started them in the house, and I was so upset. I said, "Oh my gosh, I struggled," and I have videos of that. I struggled, and I had plants all around me because I didn't have a greenhouse. And I was like, I struggled to keep these things alive in the house for months, and then I put them out too early, and it froze again. We had a freeze, I think, in March or April. I thought that it was over, and it wasn't. And they died down, and it warmed back up like in 3 days after it, basically killed everything or tried to kill everything. And I was like, oh man. So I just kept on going out there and watering. And do you know they came back up? So even the tropical plants, if it's not a consistent freeze and if there's some root left, they'll come back up. Same thing with that taro. I was throwing my taro out because I said, oh my gosh, I had it in buckets last year and it froze. And I said, well, they're dead. So I started dumping the buckets, and then I looked, and the tuber or the root was still, it had a little shoot coming out that was green. Don't dig your stuff up. Same thing with the lemon and lime trees. I dug one of them up, and that's when I realized that it was still alive because it was a shoot coming out the side. With lemon and lime trees, if it freezes, now don't do it up north because your winter is too long. But if you're in a 9A or 8B or 8, 9 or higher, don't dig it up until you know it's dead because they might come back. Most of the time they do. Toronto, Canada. Yeah, that's up where my mom is in New York City. Y'all are above her, actually. Yeah, it's a little cold there. It gets really cold. Wind chill factor and all that. We have the heat advisories. You all have the freezing temperatures and wind chill factor. I remember that wind chill factor. They'd be like, yeah, it's 40 degrees out here in New York, but with the wind chill factor, it feels like 30. I'm like, oh my God. And they don't shut down anything up north. Wind chill factor. They're like, oh, whatever. This city is not going to shut down. It's just a little snow. It's just freezing out there. So very rarely do they shut down anything up north for cold. Down here, they don't put ice. Great advice to save money. This is my 3rd year gardening. Who is this? This is Bliss. How are you doing? Great advice to save money. This is my 3rd year gardening. I've just learned wasting money buying new pots, etc. each spring. Also, I learned fall gardening. I've been pulling plants up. Don't pull those bad boys up until they die. And even if they die, chop the top off, chop and drop. Because those roots or all of that stuff will fertilize your soil. Dragging them out of the ground, throw them in the trash. That's free fertilizer right there. I keep all the roots in the ground, and I'll just chop it down and we'll mow over it. But so look at this. This is what 2 months will get you. See that? And this shows that these plants are ready to be rethink. And when you pull them out, it's like they're going through an operation. You'll smell it. You can smell the plant because this one has been in here too long. See how I'm having to undo it? It's because it was becoming a root bound. If you get a root bound plant and you're unable to unravel it, chop the bottom off. Just cut it off, or just pull them apart as best you can without ripping out too much of the root. But I can smell this plant right now. I can smell it. It doesn't necessarily like being pulled out. It's like, it's moving is always, gonna cause some kind of disruption to our lives and the plant's lives. The plant doesn't necessarily know that you're moving it. It's not a natural thing for it to be moved. You know, in the wild, this thing would be growing in the ground for all of its life, and we're moving it. So if you see your plants going to shock, don't pull them up either. Just give them what I do to make them feel better. I give them some horticulture molasses. They sell horticulture molasses at the big box stores, and maybe it's over $10 now. It's called, oh gosh, it's horticulture molasses. It's a bunch of sugar. Your plants will be up and running in no time. And it treats shock quickly. So you don't have to worry about them, you know, if you have a weak plant, you don't have to worry about it passing away. It's just, you know, it takes your time taking care of these plants, and you just don't want to waste your time. I have made a mess, so I might as well just have fun with it now. Might as well have fun with it. Let me see who's in the chat. Texas Lala, how are you doing? Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody. So here is my second bell pepper plant. Oh, third. Wow, time does fly. So here's my third bell pepper plant that is going to be a house plant until spring. And I said I was going to keep at least 3 of them in the house. So these, I do not throw these out unless they crack or break. I know these are supposed to be one-time use, but if they don't crack or break, I'm going to use them. Because, you know, I'm not wasting my money. I don't think I bought those anyway. I think I got those from the big box store. They was throwing out some dead plants, and I just threw all, you know, took all the plants out and said, "Can I have these?" And he was like, "Take as many as you want." That's what they always say. Take as many as you want. And that's what I do. I just take them, throw them in the back with the trays that I acquire from them. They say I could take those too. They're like, they don't realize, well, maybe the manager does, because that's the guy I asked. Just take it. I want them to accuse me of, taking anything that they're not selling anyway. But, oh, how you doing, Urban Backyard Container Gardening? How are you doing? Maximize and transplant shock. Yeah. And a lot of people say to use a 911, but you can't use 911 in your house. That stuff smells so bad. I tried. I only use that outside. It works. It works. It's natural, but that stuff smells so bad. Your whole house will smell like dead fish. Did I miss anybody? This is Bliss. Urban Backyard Container Gardening. This is Bliss. No, I haven't. Okay, so I am on number 4. Number 4. And I'm running out of dirt. So if I run out of dirt, I'm just going to have to stop. But I'm going to plant the bigger ones. The 2 little ones, I could do that later. But these 2 big ones, I want to get them in a pot. So when I started, tried to log into this thing, oh my God, it gave me the blues. This is the first time I scheduled a YouTube live. Normally I just get on here when I have time, but scheduling it, man, I guess the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. But I was like, oh my God, is it going to be facing the wrong direction? And I didn't know if it was going to be able to, the last time I got on it would only do it in portrait mode, not landscape. So I was messing around with it the other day, and I was like, okay, I hope I got it into landscape, because portrait is for shorts. Nobody likes portrait unless they're doing a short. And this is not a short. All right, I have limited space as it is. So I need a little bit more dirt. And another thing that I do besides recycling in my soil is that when I go to the box store, everybody, I used to buy Miracle-Gro until I had a bad experience with a store that had it I don't know how they did it, but somehow fungus gnats got into the soil. I know they didn't come from Miracle Grow like that because, you know, I've been using Miracle Grow for years. So I get the soil in there and I see, oh, you know, by the time I'm planting all my plants, and then fungus gnats, they were everywhere. They must have kept that soil dirty and somehow it got infested. So I don't discriminate on what type of soil I get. I just get the one that we have Texas native soil here. And I'm like, you know, that's good enough for me. I know where it's made in Austin. I've been there. I've been to the it's basically they take what they do, and this is what gets me. So I'm gonna put that aside for a minute. When we rake up all of our leaves and our branches and we put them in those bins and they come and pick them up, they do recycle it. They take it to this big field, because I've seen it with my own two eyeballs. They take it to this big field and they make compost piles in Austin. And the compost, you'll see it. They'll have them in sections. They just come in there, they dump the truck with all the leaves and the trees, you know, our Christmas trees and all that stuff. And in about a year, they sell it back to us in bags. And it says City of Austin on it. They're selling us back our own stuff. So now I'm trying to figure out how I am going to keep my seeds, keep my leaves on the property and make my own compost. So I'm gonna pick a corner of the yard, and I'm gonna get a piece of well wire. I already have well wire and some fabric, some landscape fabric, and I'll make my own compost because they're selling me my own stuff back. All they're doing is using time. Let me see, did I miss anybody? Angela Athlete, I've never heard of I've never heard you talking about pests. Do you have any problem with pests or critters? I'm in Texas, so out here, yeah, I've complained. We have our critters out here. Texas used to be nothing but fields and farms, right? Out in Austin, and where all of the wildlife was living now has houses in it. So all of the field miles, even deer have nowhere to go, and now they're going into neighborhoods. We have everything from a mouse to coyotes to wolves. I don't see any wolves. I've seen coyotes a lot, and coyotes will kill your animals. We have wild hogs. What kind of critters you talking about? I'm in the wild west. It's not a normal critter. A normal critter in most parts of Texas will be those wild hogs, and they'll eat you. That's the worst kind of critter. But we have field mouse. We have rats, Norwegian rats that climb, roof rats. We have snakes, and most of this, if you could come past a snake in Texas, don't just go the other way, because that joker is most likely poisonous. Frogs, rabbits. My dog, the video before this one, the one I put out today, my dog hates rabbits, and I don't like them either because they eat my vegetables. They eat down my yard. They eat down everything. That's why I don't like them. And my dog doesn't like them. And that's the video just for this one. She saw a rabbit, and those rabbits are terrible. They'll be right outside the door looking at us. That means my dog's out there, scratching the window, trying to break the window to get to them. And the rabbit will be there laughing at us just outside the door because it knows that the dog can't get to it. Man, that's the kind of critters we have. Mischievous ones that eat my crops. Everybody loves bunnies. I don't like bunnies unless they're in a cage, because they will eat your garden down to nothing. And they've done it to me. I plant it and then they'll come. And there's plenty of plants out there. They just like the good stuff. They'll go after the good stuff. I planted Swiss chard all the way around here. There's one broccoli left. And it was the rabbits that did it. Let me see what's going on in the chat. And bobcats and mountain lions. Texas Lala, you know what? I haven't seen him yet, but I've heard about him. I have seen the hogs. I've seen the deer. I've seen the coyotes. Man, coyotes are bad though. And people, there are a lot of people from California and New York. I'm a New Yorker. I left there when I was 17, so that don't really count, does it? And this one guy was walking his dog, and this was in the neighborhood internet, neighbor something, right? And he said a brown dog attacked me and my dog. It was brown and it looked like it had been out there for a while. I was like, that was not a dog. That was a coyote. And there's probably 5 more around him. And darn coyotes are supposed to be talking about plants. And darn coyotes will act like they're playing with your dog if you let your dog out. And they'll start playing with it and they'll make your dog chase them into the woods. When your dog goes into the woods, there'll be 5 more coyotes waiting for him. You'll never see your dog again. So when that guy got on there saying he got attacked, I was like, that was a coyote. It was probably rabbit. And that's why it came after him like that. Because normally they don't do that. Normally they'll run away from humans because Texans, most of them are packing. There's Second Amendment people out here. That's why I moved here. They will protect. And in this area, they're animal lovers. You go after their animal, that's part of their family. Let's see, who else we got? Urban Backyard Container Garden. Your critters sound like critters here in Southwest Florida. Yeah, we don't have well, yes we do. We have alligators down in places like Port Aransas, Port Lavaca, Corpus Christi, where else? Port Lavaca, I definitely saw be careful of alligators, or beware of alligators. Out in Seadrift, I saw a sign say beware of alligators. We rented an Airbnb out there. We didn't go outside that fence. Once we saw the little swamp. So who else is out here? Netta's Nest, how you doing? Urban Backyard Container Garden, hey Netta. Texas Lala, hey Nest. Backyard Container, hello everybody. Backyard Garden Flow 21. How are you doing? Critters that go after your crops. I've heard you talk about those already. Yes, the rabbits. My chickens were doing damage too now, but the rabbits have no conscience. They eat it all the way down till they kill your plant. In one setting. And they look so cute, they so cute. They got those big old eyes and big old ears. And the wild rabbits, they're gray. They're not normal, fuzzy wuzzy rabbits like you see on the Easter bunny. No, they're gray and brown. And when I first moved out here, I was walking my dog and I was like, who has their chihuahuas running around playing in the street? It was 2 rabbits. Some of them are big. Big as a chihuahua. I thought it was dogs. Rabbits. Probably the same ones who coming out here getting all fat off of my garden. I go out there to pick tomatoes, and there's one that lives in the tomato plant, and I hear it scurrying around. And poor Philomena, my German Shepherd, she tried to go after them. Them rabbits, man, they should be basketball stars. They'll ditch and dodge. They'll be on one side and then they'll dart to the other side. I'm like, whoa, when you learn that move, Mr. Rabbit? It's like it doesn't even faze them. It's like a game to them. And they know where all the holes is where they can fit through where she can't. She did get one day though. I didn't feel sorry for it. She didn't even want it. She just did it for fun because she hates them. I said, well, that's interesting. Now I'm seeing the wild side of my dog. That's 5 right there. So let me get to the chat. So we have planted together 5 bell pepper plants. Yeah, let me put them up here. Line them up. That's 1. Move that right there. That's 2. 3. That's 4. And that's 5. I have not spent any additional money on this, with the exception of a little bit of extra dirt that I had in this bucket. These pots are recycled pots. The plants are these 25-cent pack of seeds from Dollar Tree. The dirt is recycled, the pots are recycled, the plants are 25 cents, and the water. The water I was gonna pay for anyway. So that's a lot. That'll be a lot of peppers. Hopefully I don't have to buy peppers. I was just processing peppers today. So once these start producing peppers, and I have too many, when I have too many peppers, I don't let them go bad. I cut them up and I put them in the freezer for when I need them. Because, you know, that if it gets too hot out here, the brassicas, they stop producing. The pepper plants won't give you any peppers. They'll produce flowers, and the flowers will just fall off if it gets too hot. That's what happens out here. Tomatoes too. Any brassica that if it hits over 100 degrees, it doesn't matter how much water you put on them. It's just too hot, and the plant is not going to produce like it should. It's not. It starts producing once it cools down. So in the early spring, I get peppers. I get a lot of peppers because I've already started them just like I did here. So I have them in the house, and when it starts getting warm during the day, because usually if it's going to get cold, it's going to get cold at night. And every day, initially, I'll put them out for an hour. I'll pull them back in the house. Then I'll stick them outside. I'll do that for a couple of days. Then I'll stick them out there for 2 or 3 hours, and I'll pull them back in the house. And I keep on increasing their time outside because you have to get them acclimated to the outside. You just don't put them out there, or they'll go into shock and they might die on you. So I slowly acclimatize them to the outside. And then once it gets really hot, I put them in the shade. In Texas, I do not put my plants in direct sun. At least the brassicas, not the brassicas, these nightshades, I do not put them in direct sun. They cannot take it. They will not produce any fruit, and they'll wilt on you. The brassicas, those bad boys are gangsters. They can go through the heat of the summer and still be alive. And I'm not going to say they're thriving, but they're definitely not going to die on you. If they're established, they can make it through the winter, all 4 seasons, spring, winter, and fall. Let me see what's going on here. Let's see. Oh yeah, squirrels. We don't have a lot of squirrels here. We didn't have any squirrels in this neighborhood until about 2-3 years ago. I think somebody brought a squirrel here because it was farmland, and they made developments out of the farmland. So all we had was field mice. I didn't see any squirrels for a long time, and for a while I didn't hear any birds. They just started showing up. Let's see. There are, who is this? Texas Lala. There are alligators in North Texas too. Pretty much any body of water. I did not know that. Let's see. Texas Lala. Squirrels will eat your food too. We have squirrels here, but the squirrels are just taking the acorns. I don't have as much trouble with the squirrels as I have with the rabbits. Our rabbit population is out of control. Quietly Garden, do you ever have problems digging due to rocks? I'm about an hour north of you, and I can't dig at all because of the rocks. Smithville, Bastrop, East Side has clay soil that got caught in the Texas, what was it called? Lost Pines fire out there. All of that soil is rock because of the clay that actually meshed together. You're probably on the west side of I-35. So on the west side of I-35, from what I hear, besides Bastrop County, there is rock. And if you have rock, you're gonna have to do raised beds because I am not. I know from digging out on my other property that you can't grow anything on that soil. Stuff will grow, like trees sometimes have a way of breaking through that rock, but that's a lot of work. Just do raised bed gardening or container gardening because you're gonna break your back trying to get all those rocks up. It's so hard to do anything with the rocks. I'm on the east side of I-35. So we on this side have clay soil. and it's kind of dense, but it's nutrient rich. So you can grow stuff here. So it depends on where in Austin you have. You're probably on the west end of I-35. Let's see. Do you have any problems? Okay, I read that. Quietly gardening. Backyard garden flow 21. Okay. Hi, urban backyard. Netta's nest. That's my biggest threat, squirrels. Wow. Squirrels must be just like rabbits. When I was in New York, we had some squirrels, and those were some big old fat squirrels, but we had big old trees that had acorns on. I used to see them running across the power lines and all that, but they didn't do the damage that those rabbits, the rabbits, they just sit there and they just chew it all up right in front of you sometimes, and they do it so quick that and you can't catch them. Netta's nest. The squirrels were eating more mangoes than us. I didn't know squirrels ate mangoes. I didn't know squirrels ate mangoes. Let me see what this is. Angela Anthony. Hi, Netta. Yes, it's the squirrels for me too. Wow. Well, the rabbits and squirrels, and then I didn't know this, but rabbits are related to horses. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they run like they do. 'Cause we can't catch them. Cannot catch those jokers, and they're eating up everything. And I overplant, so I just said to myself, you know what? Maybe there's enough for me and them too, because I can't stop them. And they don't come as much as they used to because I have dogs. So they'll be on the other side of the fence teasing the dogs. So if you have animals that and they're afraid for their life, they'll try to avoid your property as much as possible. But when they know that they're not out, like they'll I don't know, somehow animals know when you're gonna do something. They know your rhythm. So they kind of know when I'm gonna let the dogs out. So they make themselves scarce during that. But there is one living out there with my tomatoes. Here's some tomatoes right here. This is why I don't pull my stuff up. This is December and I'm still harvesting tomatoes. And I got a cement tray over there of the other ones that are ripening. These are just the ones that are ripe. So, I don't pull my stuff up. I let it die. I let it do what it needs to do. We'll just work around it. I mean, what are you gonna plant in winter time anyway? Just leave it there. If it dies, then cut it down. If you can't stand the sight of it anymore and it's brown and dried up, pull it up. I mean, not pull it up. Chop it off. Harvest all of your stuff and throw those sticks back down on the ground. Let's see. The squirrels are eating more mangoes than us. Netta's nest. Angela Anthony. Hi, Netta. Let's see. It's the squirrels for me too. Quietly garden. Thanks for the info about Bastrop. I've been looking into buying there. I'm not saying that all of Bastrop County is there, but there was 2 fires in Bastrop. There was the Lost Pines fires. That was the one that happened about, I'd say 8 years ago. And that it was clay soil out there. And because the fires was so bad, first of all, you couldn't get any insurance out there. They would not insure you during that time. Even in Austin, they wouldn't insure you. You couldn't buy anything in the Austin area. And the fire was so bad that all of that clay soil became, you make a clay pot. That's what happened to the clay soil. It's coming back. It's turning back into soil, but it takes a long, long time for that kind of damage, that kind of area to recover. So if you're going out there and you're looking into property, go ahead and bring a little shovel and try to see if you can test the soil, see if it's all stuck together. Let me see. They say you had a problem with grasshoppers, locusts. I don't know what's up with those things. I feel like I'm going through the plague. Out in South Austin, there's so many grasshoppers, or I call them locusts. They're everywhere and they'll cover the sidewalk. It's scary. The first time I saw it, I had never seen anything like it because I'm originally from New York. We don't have that kind of problem there. We don't have that kind of issue in New York or anywhere else I've been. And you'll come out and they'll just be all over and then they'll all just die. It's weird. Weird. Let me see. Grasshoppers. Yeah, like grasshoppers and locusts is the same thing to me. I don't know what the difference is, but I know that ours are brown and they, they'll eat your crops. They'll eat your crops and then they'll drop dead. And it'll be all over the place. That's so true. In New York, we have a lot of squirrels. We have a lot of squirrels. Moved to Florida, and there's less of them, I think. New York has a lot of squirrels. I saw so many squirrels when I was there as a kid. And we just got used to them being around. I just harvested some tomatoes today. See, if you're in the South, and I'm not talking about zone 6, because you still might have tomatoes in zone 6. If you're in 8, 9, 10, don't pull your plants out of the ground. Tomato plants are, I told you, they're the brassicas, they're perennials. They last forever. The freeze is what kills them. So you just keep them around until they start looking too bad or they look dead. Then you harvest all of your stuff, chop them down, chop and drop, leave them there. Don't pull the roots out of the ground and plant again. Why start over? I mean, I didn't get anything this summer. It was so hot here. It was over 100 degrees for like, I don't know, months. We had cracks in the ground. Big old holes in the ground from the soil contracting because it was just baking it. And nothing would grow. So I just tried to keep them alive until fall came out. And once the temperatures here in Central Texas cooled down, I started seeing flowers on my tomatoes and they just started producing a lot. They're still flowering out there. And I have bell peppers out there in containers. I didn't put the bell peppers in the ground. In containers, they're producing again. So they produced in spring and then they produced again in fall. So, taking your stuff out of the ground is, you might as well, you're wasting something that you could have got more out of it. I'm just going to keep it there until I can't get any more, and then I'll get rid of it. Let's see. That's a beautiful tomato harvest. Thank you. This is Bliss. This is just a little piece of it. I got more. I have some in a cement tray that are green, and then I have this one that is ripe, and then out there, it's more, way more. There's at least 4 pails of this out there that are green. Let's see. I remember that. Let me see. That's a beautiful harvest. I remember that now. Quietly gardening. Now I'm gonna miss something. Oh, you remember the fires? Because there was 2. I was like, man, we had a couple of fires this summer, but I was so afraid. I was afraid. We had one in Hayes County. We had one, I think, in Cedar Park. Somewhere out here is for Texans is the fires. That's the problem. And if you have a fire, your garden's gone, your house is gone, everything. Some of the houses that were out in Bastrop, the only thing you'll see if they haven't knocked it down is the fireplace. That's the only thing that didn't burn down. Oh. This is Bliss. Got it. You give me motivation to give up. What? You give me motivation not to give up so quickly on plants. No. Especially with peppers. I was saying that when we first started. Pepper plants, you put these seeds in the ground and you may not see them grow. You might not see any activity for 2 weeks. And you'll think those seeds were no good. Sure enough, these things, that's how long they take. 12, as this one says, days to germination, 10 to 12 days. I won't see this thing, and I've done it. I'll go and I'll plant into a tray, and I'll be like, those seeds didn't work. And I'll go and plant again, a different crop. And then when I'm looking at it, I'll look at it and I'll be like, that don't look like an artichoke. That looks like something else. Sure enough, it'll be a pepper plant. My tomatoes are doing it now. Nothing over the summer. October hit and the temperature dropped and everything was in bloom. Same thing happened to me. The same thing happened to me. And because I learned, because years ago I would be like, oh, it's over. Fall is here. Let me just mow down everything and start fresh in the spring. Then I had a couple of tomato plants out there in Raggedy Lane. That's what I call the side where the great gate's all messed up. And I just left them there. And then I noticed that flowers were blooming. It was a year or two ago. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to pull those up. And sure enough, I got more tomato plants. And ever since then, I do not pull them up. I'm in a zone where it doesn't get cold until February, March. Why would I pull it up? Oh my, that's scary. With the fires, it's a part of life. Fire or flood. It flooded out here too. I mean, Texas used to be nothing but pastures, and where there were places for the water to drain, or in Austin area, where there were places for water to drain, there are houses now. They build houses in the flood zone. So that's another thing I check. If like when I came out here to Texas, if you go on a website to look for a house, just go ahead and check to see if it's in a flood zone, because they'll build in a flood zone and you'll get water. Let's see. I still have about 4 pepper plants still producing peppers. I'm in Southern California. Yeah. Peppers are perennials. The winter kills them, or you kill them. I mean, or they die. I'm not going to say you kill them. They just die on you, but they're perennials. They can last for years and years and years. I don't know how many years a pepper plant can live, but it's more than one. A lot of people think that, I mean, when they start looking like this, they think some people would throw this out. Or if they put 3 seeds in this pot, right? And 3 of them come up, some people they call it thinning. You just drag 2 of them out and have the one. Well, I'm not a farmer. So if I have 3 pepper plants in here, as a matter of fact, when I used to buy, years ago, I used to buy seedlings. If I would look for the ones that had 3 plants in it, because all I do is I'll take them out of their pot and I'll separate them and I'll have 3 pepper plants instead of 1. And they grow. When you, like if I put 3 seeds in here and 3 plants show up and I separate them carefully and try to keep as much root as possible on all of them, they live. And thinning, that's for somebody who doesn't have time. The farmers don't have time to go ahead and separate them. You do the operation of separating the 3 plants from this one pot. They're like, oh no, I don't have time. They just pluck, and they'll leave the one there. No, I waited 2 weeks for this thing to come up. And if it's 3 in there, I'm going to use all 3. And if they, maybe one will die from shock, but I'm at least try to keep it alive. I still have about 4 pepper plants still producing, and I'm in Southern California. Let me see, did I miss anybody? No. Well, we're coming up on an hour. Does anybody have any questions on pepper plants and, what I've learned during the years? I'm going to go over some points. It takes 14 days for the seeds to germinate, and you get seeds for 25 cents from the Dollar Tree. You get them from other places. You might pay a little bit more, but at least you'll get some plants. And if you get 4 peppers, you've already got your money back from buying a $2 pack of seeds. It takes 14 days for the seeds to germinate. Just keep on watering it. If you get more than 1 plant in the seedling pot, in the pod or in the seedling tray per pod, separate them and put them into separate little containers and let them do whatever they're going to do. In the wintertime, you do not have to put these things outside. You don't have to put them in the ground. You could do container gardening. You could do container gardening and backyard container gardening, urban backyard container gardening. That's what he does. If you want to see how to do that, I do it, but he's really good at it. But you could put these in containers and then you're not stuck with having them in the ground. You can dig up plants out of the ground and bring them into a greenhouse or into your house, but you can also leave them in a container and bring them in and out at will. I don't recommend you bring them into the house. You can, but be careful with that, because sometimes when you bring outdoor plants into your house, you bring bugs into your house, and you don't want that. That happened to me. You don't want that. That's just a fumigation fight that you just, you just start reevaluating your entire life. My overwinter plants are in my greenhouse. I didn't have a greenhouse. I have a greenhouse that just came in, but I have to put it together. So that should be interesting. That I am mechanically inclined, but I don't know. I might have I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. So to overwinter your plants, I was just watching another gardener, and he has a greenhouse that he bought from Walmart, and it wasn't thousands of dollars. It was a couple of $100. Actually, you get one for $90, depending on how many plants you have. And he said that the one that he bought from Wally World took him through the Arctic freeze, and his citrus plants survived. And that's when I was like, wow, so I don't have to spend a bunch of money on a, expensive sun glow or whatever greenhouse, because some of those greenhouses are extremely expensive. So I'm going to take these two, and I'll eventually put them in pots. I don't see any roots on the bottom, so I'm not too worried about them. These two were struggling. Yeah, they were struggling during the transplant. They're not as far gone as these were. These had to be replanted. So the next point is, after you plant them in here, you can only keep these in these containers so long. The roots have to expand. If you leave them in these little pots, they'll become root bound, which means the roots start spinning around in a circle, and the roots choke itself out, and there'll be less dirt in here. So you have to put it in a bigger container after a while in order for the plant not to die on you, because root bound, it could kill your plants. Another thing that kills your plants is like having too much water on the bottom, and it becomes root rot. But root bound is one of the main causes of a lot of trees and a lot of plants, passing away. So let me see what else. Are you planning any cooking videos? Yes, because wintertime, there's not going to be a lot of gardening to do. So what I'll do is start, because I have to cook anyway. I got to eat. I haven't been doing it lately because I'm like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy trying to make sure that my plants get watered and all that stuff. I still cook, but there's did I do a video? No, I haven't done a cooking video in a long time. Wow. And another thing that I do is I know how to can. I can a lot of stuff, but I'm kind of leery about doing canning, because you got to be careful with canning. I have a book, this book right here. If you're preserving food and you're watching YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers out there, they'll put a caveat out there. They're like, this is just for informational purposes. This is not, backed by the U.S., Department of Agriculture. And they don't want to get blamed for you getting botulism. But this ball, that's the book that I use. And I just go through here and I find out, I don't care about the recipes because they have recipes here. That's not why I bought the book. There's two of them. I have two ball books. But this one's for preserving, and it tells you how to do things. And there's another one that, and on here, it tells you about canning. And it'll tell you how long you have to leave a product in the canner and how to can it. Because you don't want to, and even if you follow this book for preserving, I freeze my bell peppers. I don't can them. Even if you follow the ball canning book, if you leave the jars out in the sunlight, or they can go bad. So the main thing you do, if you can your own food, because I do canning, I've canned a lot of stuff. Once you make sure the seal is on, it's supposed to make that sound when you open it, then smell it. If you're a man and you have a wife or a girlfriend or a sister, have her smell it. It's a part of our survival skills. Women's sense of smell is usually more heightened than a man's. Don't ask me why, I can't explain it, but you can smell it if she's not around, and pray to God that you pick up if it's rotten. But if she's there, give it to her and let her smell hers. Hi, broke farmer, how you doing? Have her smell it. Have her smell it. And then the next thing is you take a little bit of taste, because botulism can kill you. Take a little bit of taste, and if it tastes any weird, if you have any inclination that is bad and you've canned it yourself or somebody's canned it for you, throw it in the trash. Don't eat it. That's why I'm worried about doing canning videos, because I can a lot, but I don't videotape a lot of it. And there's some things that you're not supposed to can that I can anyway, like milk. You know, somebody asked me, can you do a video on milk? And I'm like, you know, I can milk, but I don't want to do a video on it because y'all be sniffing. Because y'all, bro, farmer, because y'all be sniffing for other women. That too. We can sniff it out. So, yeah. So have her smell it. But this is the book that I use for canning. Because especially when you have gardening, excuse me, I didn't can that. I just picked a whole bunch of not collard greens, of turnip greens. And I had a big pot. And I was like, well, look at my dog. Boy, go. Get. What was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? He's giving me the side eye. I just picked a whole bunch of turnip greens. And the main thing about picking your stuff is that I don't want it to go to waste. So either I can it or I freeze it. That's about it. And for herbs, I dehydrate it. Or bell peppers, you could dehydrate them too. So those three things, because I'm not going to throw my food out. And if my friends want some, like tomatoes, I told somebody to come pick some up the other day. I'm still waiting for them to come around. You know, like tomatoes, I'm not going to throw my stuff out. So I talked to some of my family members. They're like, oh, Jamerica, you got all these tomatoes. What are you going to do with them? I have 1, 2, 3. I have the cement tray full of tomatoes. I have a bowl over here and I have a bowl here. And I was like, well, if nobody come, I'm going to boil them and I'm going to put them in a plastic bag and freeze them. Or I'll make tomato sauce out of them. I'm not going to throw it away. It took too long for me to get this stuff. I appreciate my stuff. I mean, why would I just let it rot? I ain't going to just let it rot. Nope. My hands are still dirty. I'm touching all this stuff. I love the cooking videos. Oh, I cook a lot of West Indian food. You must like hot food. Well, I cook a lot of food from different places, but mostly West Indian food because that's my favorite. Okay, yeah, I'll do some cooking videos. That's my second love. Gardening is my first. The reason I've been gardening for years, and I wasn't on YouTube. Well, I was on YouTube. I was one of those people who was in the bushes watching other people because I was working all the time. And I'd have the TV going with the YouTube video going on, and I just watch everybody. I never commented or did anything. And I was also gardening and cooking all the time and canning and doing all kind of stuff. And then a light bulb went off. And I was like, Jamerica, you doing this anyway. So just turn the camera on. I said, well, I don't know if anybody's going to watch me, but I'll do it anyway. You know, just put yourself out there because you're doing it anyway. Let's see. Everybody saying hello to another one, to each other. So we've been on for about an hour. Yeah, over an hour. Does anybody have any other questions about bell pepper or any of the nightshade family or brassicas? That's what I'm talking about today. So, as I said, it doesn't take much for you to start a garden indoors. Doesn't take much. There's really no, I mean, your kids, even if you buy a pack of seeds and give it to your kids, they'll grow them. When I was a little girl, my grandmother used to make us go out there and dig in the yard in New York, and we had a little itty bitty plot of land. She didn't grow a lot of vegetables because my uncle came out there with his Cadillac and left it in the backyard. And after high school, that's when we started growing a food garden. But this stuff is super easy, super easy. Is the camera on the ceiling? No. Why? I'm looking at myself on the video. That's weird. Am I on the ceiling, guys? Hello? I'm looking at myself here and I'm looking at myself there. No? Okay. Well, video looks good. Broke farmer, why would you do that? No, I thought the camera was taped to. Oh, no, I have it on my little selfie stick. I have the what is that other one with the light, but I don't like that one. I like the selfie stick better. No, it's just the angle that way. Oh, okay. No, let me tell you a story. When I first started YouTube, I did not have a selfie stick. I didn't have any equipment. None of that special stuff that you need as a YouTuber. So I was like, how am I going to get this video done? You know that little sticky thing that you stick in your car and stick it to the window so that you can see your phone? That's what I was using, but that thing broke. Who is that? Tarot Destroyer. Oh, Lord. How do you get rid of this one? Hide. I don't need that. Okay, how did that happen? Hide. Yeah, so we've got our first troll. That's okay. Everything's okay. And people trying to advertise their stuff. So, does anybody have any questions in reference to any of the other stuff, any of the stuff that we talked about? Because I'm getting ready to end the live. Laugh out loud, troll in the house. Yes. Well, how did they find me? There it is again. How do I get rid of this person? Remove. You grow. I'm on the map. You grow when you get a troll. I was just worried that somebody was gonna come into the live and make everything bad for me, but that's all right. So there's 9 of you on here now. I thank you guys for your time, and I'm gonna get off. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful Christmas. Thank goodness. Merry Christmas to everybody. If I don't get on here before then, Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope you all keep on growing and stay blessed. Bye, y'all.